animated image. Another example of smoke. Oh, excuse me. Not here. Okay. And some example of, in the study of matter, past, fluid, etc. Several examples in order to understand and to modelize the behavior of past, which can be, like in this situation, not se mélanger. And in this example, there's the same model but with other parameter, a completely different behavior of the matter. With some instability that produces this little microscopic explosion. And now, always in animated image, thanks to the Cordis-Anima formalism, the simulation of a complex object, which is a vehicle, it was in the context of a contract with CNES in France to study the vehicle for Mars. This is an autonomous planetarium vehicle, completely simulated, not in real time. And now some extract of the first piece we created in 1983, Esquisse, combining sound and image. And this clockwork, oh, excuse me. And this clockwork, which is During the 1990s, we made a lot of study on the gesture because it was not necessary to get devices, but also to understand the gesture. I spent time to try to understand the different categories of gesture, and I made this typology based on the observations that, for example, in violin playing, what we do with the right hand and left hand is completely different and can be understood in the physical sense. Founded on the three notions: the excitation, which have to do with the energy, the modification, and the selection. The excitation is the gesture by which we communicate energy to the device that will be transformed in, for example, acoustical or other energy. And it is very important because the intensity of the resulting phenomenon is very dependent on this kind of gesture. With the modification gesture, in fact, we just, for example, with the left hand of the violin, we just modified the device and the component, a property of component, for example, the length of a string. And of course, it modifies the sound, but we don't give energy to the sound. It's completely different. And the selection idea is that very often in instrument, in a real instrument, for example piano, we have a set of instrumental chain, individual instrumental chain, and we have to do a kind of gesture to select in a complex sense, for example to make a chord or a melody, to select, and we don't give no energy to the instrument. It's completely, this energy is only used to move our body. And these three categories of gesture, of course, are combined in a real gesture, but they have not the same role in the control of the sound or of the final result. And of course, that is why it is important. They don't need the same devices when we want to implement with a computer gestural interface. And now something important but quite difficult to explain. Of course, since we have the gesture as a signal, thanks to the sensor, it's possible to record this signal and to envisage to work on this new object. So, and in order, for example, to create new gesture signal that we can apply to the virtual instrument. But, in fact, there is a difficult question. That is, due to the fact that this is an interaction. If we modify, for example, the input signal without any precaution, in fact, we can disrupt, we can break the consistency of the entities, the mechanical entities that are related. And in fact, make something, if we work without any precaution, something like, which in fact correspond to an impossible transformation of the performer. Jean Florent and Sylvie Gibet in 1987 introduced the idea that it is possible to modelize also